welcome to the deep dive.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt so deeply understood by a song, a movie, or maybe even a public figure that it felt like they were speaking, directly to your soul?
Oh, absolutely. It's a pretty profound connection, isn't it?
It really is. Especially now in our digital world, these strong bonds are, well, they're literally at our fingertips.
It's truly fascinating how we form these intense attachments, sometimes with people or groups we've actually never met in person.
Yeah.
And today we're going to try and navigate those powerful emotional currents.
Right.
We're taking a deep dive into what happens when passion for, say, a pop culture phenomenon, specifically K-pop's BTS, goes beyond just admiration and becomes, well, something much more all-consuming.
And our guide for this is an incredibly insightful new book. It's called From Fan to Free, A Psychodynamic Journey Towards Liberation from BTS Obsession by Dr. Ashutosh Srivastava. We've pulled out the most important nuggets from this book. It uses this fictional story, but it feels very real, about a 19-year-old named Neha.
And her story really illuminates these universal psychological experiences, doesn't it?
It really does.
So our mission today is to unpack the surprising why behind these powerful fan bonds, how they can impact our sense of identity, our well-being.
And crucially, the journey towards finding true self-liberation.
Exactly. Get ready for some possibly deeply resonant moments because Neha's story, while it's about BTS, it echoes themes many of us might recognize in our own lives or maybe lives of people we know.
Okay, let's start by stepping into Neha's world. So for 4 years, her entire life basically revolved around BTS.
4 years is a long time at that age.
It is. Imagine waking up, first thing, checking Instagram stories for updates, listening to Magic Shop for Courage before studying.
Finding comfort in epiphany when you feel low.
Yeah, or crying along with Spring Day at night. She truly felt like that line, "You're the cause of my euphoria," was directed right at her.
And she described feeling like BTS were, and this is a quote, "the only ones who understand me, accept me, and love me unconditionally." So for a shy, lonely teenager who found it hard to connect at school, this wasn't just music. It was, as she put it, a world where I wasn't alone.
A sanctuary.
Precisely. She found her BTS squad on Telegram. They talked BTS all day, shared news, called each other ARMY. Yeah, that became her family, really, her safe space.
But like you said, this sanctuary had a cost. The tension at home started to really build up. Her parents called her crazy, just frustrated she was always on her phone. She remembers her dad snatching her phone away.
Oh, that must have been awful.
Yeah, she described her heart pounding as if someone had cut off my oxygen. She screamed, "Give me my phone back. I need to talk to them."
It just highlights that huge disconnect, doesn't it?
Totally. And then there's that really haunting question Neha asked herself later. If BTS weren't there, would I even exist?
That question, it just speaks volumes about her inner state at the time.
Yeah.
Her deepest thoughts revealed this profound sense of incompleteness. She wrote things like, "I am incomplete without them. My identity is solely defined by them."
And the fear, too.
Oh, the raw fear. If they left me, I would fall apart. This isn't just about liking a band. It's like an existential crisis tied to something external.
So her mom sees this crisis happening and forces her to see a therapist.
A big step.
A huge step. Neha describes walking into that room, no posters, no music, no screen, just a stranger looking at her, quote, as if they genuinely saw me.
That must have felt very exposing.
Definitely. She initially struggled, to even say what BTS truly meant. Eventually she managed, "They are my diary, my mirror. They are everything the world took away from me."
So poignant, the depth of that need.
It really is.
So from a psychodynamic perspective, what's really happening here, what Dr. Srivastava explains, is a classic case of idealization.
Idealization.
Yeah, because Neha experienced this internal emptiness, like a lack of strong, coherent sense of self. BTS became an idealized self-object for her.
Like a perfect stand-in.
Exactly. A stand-in for the acceptance, the safety, the understanding she hadn't found elsewhere. And this huge emotional investment into these distant figures leads to what we call a parasocial relationship.
Right. Where it feels real, but it's one-sided.
Precisely. And her identity started to kind of merge with theirs. This blurring of lines between Neha and BTS, well, that's what we call identity diffusion.
So it's almost like she's using this idealized world.
Yeah.
Like an escape hatch from her own difficulties.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it. When the real world feels overwhelming or too complex, it's a very human thing to retreat into a simpler, more controlled reality.
Makes sense.
For Neha, her idealized world of BTS was that safe haven from the loneliness, the family conflicts. It's a defense mechanism, really, stemming from a fundamental insecurity. She relied on this external source for emotional regulation instead of developing her own internal security.
Such a powerful psychological snapshot, isn't it? How we adapt when our core needs aren't met.
It really is.
Thinking about this, have you, listening out there, ever maybe sought out an external ideal? Could be a celebrity, a guru, even an influencer online, to fill an emotional void, maybe from a past relationship or some experience where you felt a lack.
It's worth reflecting on. What do we project onto others and why?
Definitely.
So as we go deeper into Neha's story, the book explores how her family dynamic really contributed to this emotional void.
Right. This next phase, it's titled Mom and Dad Don't Understand. BTS Does.
Tells you everything, doesn't it? Neha describes living under the same roof as her family but feeling like they were on different islands.
Right.
Her parents were busy, emotionally, well, unavailable.
She remembers going to her mom when she was sad as a kid and being told things like, "You're grown up now, stop crying over small things." Or
Don't be dramatic.
Exactly. Or when she tried to express loneliness, her mom just dismissed it like, "At your age, we used to study so much." Invalidating.
Completely invalidating. And her dad was rarely home, apparently. When he was, it was work talk or anger. Never a hug, never asking how she felt.
You can almost hear the deep emptiness in her voice when she recounts this stuff in the book.
You really can. And into that silence, BTS came along. There are lyrics like, "It's okay not to be okay. You never walk alone. Love yourself."
They became the voices of acceptance she wasn't getting at home.
Precisely. That softness, that acceptance in their words, the sense of belonging in the songs, these were things she desperately craved. And the music provided this potent, although, temporary, balm.
So what's the deeper psychology going on here? What does the book say?
Well, this is described as a clear case of self-object failure and an unmet mirroring need.
Mirroring need.
Yeah, her parents, maybe unintentionally, but consistently invalidated her emotional experiences. According to Kohut's self-psychology, a child needs a mirroring self-object, someone who reflects back their worth and feelings, validates them.
Okay.
And they also need an idealizing parental self-object for strength and guidance. Neha's experiences suggest these crucial needs just went unfulfilled.
So BTS stepped into that role.
In a way, yes. BTS mirrored her core emotional deficiency, making her feel important, understood. It functioned as a kind of temporary crutch, providing a sense of self-cohesion by compensating for those real-world deficiencies with this fantasized ideal.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So for you listening, maybe reflect on relationships in your own life, places where you felt unheard or invalidated. Do you still find yourself seeking that emotional validation, maybe that acceptance from an ideal figure or group who seems to accept you unconditionally?
It's a really common pattern worth thinking about.
Yeah. Neha's journey then reveals a deeper truth about the nature of her connection. This is in the segment, The Connection Beyond the Screen.
Right. She describes these intense physical reactions when BTS goes live. Her heart starts pounding, her hands get sweaty. Yeah. She genuinely believed their smile was just for me, that somehow they feel me. This was more than just admiration. It was this powerful illusion of intimacy.
And she talks about her deep one-way communication with them. I talk to them. I tell them every little and big detail of my day.
She even says, "I don't write in my diary anymore. I write to them as if they are my only confidants."
Feeling heard, even without any reply.
That's the absolute essence of parasocial love. It's a relationship where, emotions, attachment, and a sense of connection were present in their entirety. Only a real-time reciprocal response was missing.
A safe space.
Exactly. For Neha, this was profoundly a safe space where she didn't fear rejection or being hurt. No threat of disappointment, no threat of abandonment. It felt secure.
That's incredibly telling. She could project anything she needed onto them, couldn't she?
Precisely. And psychodynamically, this illustrates displaced libidinal investment and idealized object projection.
Okay, break that down a bit.
Sure. Basically, her emotional energy, her libido, which wasn't being fulfilled in her real-world relationships, got focused onto this safe one-way connection. Why? Because in this illusion, there is no threat. It's a strategy to protect herself from pain. A kind of defensive idealization mixed with a controlled attachment. BTS functioned as a symbolic parent, providing the security she lacked.
She actually writes in her diary about this, doesn't she?
She does. She notes, "As long as they are silent, I can say whatever I want to them. I can make them whatever I want them to be in my imagination, and no one will reject me or criticize me. This is my own safe world where I can express myself completely.
Wow. So thinking about that, do you have any fictional relationships like that? Ones that maybe protect you from the messiness of real connections?
It's an interesting question. What emotions do you gain from them that might be harder to find in the unpredictable real world?
Yeah. Okay, but then things take a bit of a darker turn as her passion slides into obsession. This is the segment when obsession became addiction.
Right. Neha's own narrative shifts quite starkly here. She says, before, BTS was a part of my day, but now my day is only BTS.
And she describes spending, what was it, 9 hours a day?
9 hours a day on BTS content, consumed by VLive, Reels, fan cams, fanfics, from morning till night.
And the impact on her life was huge.
Oh, definitely. A clear behavioral decline. Neglecting college, failing exams, skipping classes. Her room became this, cave.
Sleeping only 3-4 hours a night.
Yeah, due to late-night binge watching, ignoring friends, avoiding family, becoming irritable, mood swings.
And the spending, too.
Right, spending 10,000 plus on merchandise, way beyond what she could afford.
Her parents obviously questioned this, like, are these 7 boys her whole world?
Understandably. And when her dad took her phone away that time, her body trembled. She felt furious, cried uncontrollably, but she fiercely resisted the idea it was an addiction.
She saw BTS as her anchor, right? Her support, her identity.
Exactly. She feared that freedom means loneliness, that letting go meant being completely alone again.
So what's happening psychologically here? What's the explanation for this level of, well, dependency?
Well, while Neha might have called it love, the book argues this was clearly a behavioral addiction. It was driven by that temporary rush of dopamine, the validation, the sense of emotional regulation it seemed to provide.
A quick fix.
A quick fix that became a vicious cycle. Loneliness or stress leads to consuming content, which gives temporary relief, but then she avoids the real problems.
Leading to more loneliness.
And thus, needing more content. It became a deep psychic dependency.
Okay.
Psychodynamically, this points towards what's called ego collapse and affect regulation failure.
Ego collapse. Sounds serious.
Think of it like this. Our ego is our inner control center. When it feels overwhelmed, when it starts to collapse, we desperately look for external scaffolding to hold us up.
Like a building needing support.
Exactly. BTS essentially became an ego surrogate for Neha. They provided the moral guidance, emotional solace, and identity that her own inner self couldn't manage at that moment.
And the withdrawal symptom.
Those symptoms, when her phone was taken, the trembling, fury, uncontrollable crying, are really clear signs that her psychological well-being had become deeply, deeply tied to this external source. It showed a real narcissistic fragility and dependency.
That makes me think about our own habits again. You know, consider any ideals or routines in your life. Are they truly sustaining you? Or are they maybe unknowingly taking away time, energy, connection?
And how do you genuinely feel when you can't engage with them? It's a good self-check.
Yeah. I mean, I'm certainly glad my teenage obsession with a certain boy band never reached that level, though I admit I spent an embarrassing amount of time decorating my school binder with their photos.
We've all been there to some extent, but Neha's story takes a really pivotal turn in the next part, the therapist's chair and the BTS stage.
Right, the therapy begins. She describes that first session again. No BTS stuff around, just a stranger who genuinely saw me.
And for the first time, someone asked her, when you talk about BTS, why do your eyes well up?
A question no one had ever asked. Her parents just called it drama.
Exactly. In that therapist's chair, she started to see her own reflection, her weaknesses, that deep loneliness. The therapist observed, perhaps you look towards BTS because you're afraid to look at yourself.
Oof, that must have hit hard.
She felt recognized, the book says, but also scared by this new, unfamiliar connection beyond my control.
And then something really interesting happens with her feelings towards the therapist.
Yes. This is fascinating. She found herself feeling the same emotions towards the therapist as I did for BTS. She actually said, you listen just like they do. You are like my ideal too.
Wow. But then the fear kicked in again.
Yes, the fear. If you ever don't understand me, I might fall apart. I'm afraid you'll leave me too. She was recognizing, maybe for the first time, that she was repeating the same emotional patterns from her past, but now in a real, live relationship.
So how do we understand this psychologically? What's going on there?
This is what psychodynamics calls transference crystallization. It's where old, unfulfilled relationship patterns get reenacted unconsciously within the therapeutic relationship.
Like projecting the past onto the present.
Exactly. Imagine it like a template from her past relationships, especially with her parents, being laid over this new relationship with a therapist. The therapist might become an idealized rescuer in her mind, or a disappointing parent, or even a twin soul.
Okay.
But this is actually a crucial moment for healing because it provides a corrective emotional experience. It offers a chance to have a real, secure relationship that isn't based on fantasy and to understand and heal those core pains that were fueling the whole parasocial attachment in the first place.
That's such a powerful tool for self-discovery.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever, listening now, found yourself idealizing a new person, a teacher, a friend, a mentor, in a way that felt weirdly similar to how you might idealize a celebrity?
What did that reveal about your own underlying needs or patterns? It's something to consider.
Definitely. Then there's a really profound shift described in the section Facing the Dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Neha shares this terrifying dream she had.
Yeah, this is quite vivid. She's on a stage, thousands of army watching, BTS in the corner. And V tells her, now it's your turn, Neha. Sing. Sing in your own voice.
But she can't. She's silent, no sound comes out. And BTS's faces showed disappointment.
Chilling. She realized this wasn't just some random fan fiction dream. It was a symbolic doorway to her unconscious, revealing these deep internal conflicts.
Her silence meant her own voice had abandoned me.
Right. And the therapist asked, what was most frightening in that dream? Neha's answer, my silence, BTS's disappointed faces.
And she connected that back to her parents' rejection.
Exactly. She connected it to that past pain. The dream symbolized her deep-seated fear of expression and the pain of rejection.
So psychodynamically, what's the interpretation here?
Well, in the dream, BTS still represents her ego ideal, the standard she holds herself to. But her voicelessness points to unresolved grief, a paralyzing fear of failure, and this pattern of self-silencing.
But it's not just a nightmare.
No, the book frames it as an invitation to integration. It's prompting her to reclaim her inner power, her own voice. The therapist's role here is to help her with shadow work.
Shadow work.
Yeah, confronting those unwanted or repressed parts of herself that she'd pushed away, often out of fear or shame, the parts she didn't like or felt weren't acceptable.
And the book actually details a practical technique for this, right? Writing a letter.
Yes, a really moving one. Writing a letter to her abandoned voice. Neha's words were so powerful. Dear voice, I know you turned away from me, but today I call you by my own name, Neha. I want you back. We will sing together.
Wow. That's a beautiful reclaiming of her inner world.
It truly is. So for you listening, have you had dreams where you felt helpless or silent in front of someone you admired or an ideal?
What unsaid feelings or fears might those dreams be tapping into in your waking life?
Dreams can be such powerful messengers from our unconscious if we listen.
Definitely food for thought.
Yeah.
Okay, moving into the segment, fan self versus real self. This is where the central question really crystallizes for Neha.
Yeah, who am I, Army or Neha? If BTS were to leave my life, would anything of me remain? She really struggled to see her own identity beyond BTS.
And this is where the identity split becomes really clear.
Exactly. The book lays it out. The fan self, happy only when BTS is alive, connects only with ARMY, tries to look like BTS, identity confined to ARMY. Versus the real self, the part that should find happiness in her own accomplishments, felt uncomfortable with real-world connections, had forgotten her own style, suppressed her own creativity.
And the therapist used an exercise for this.
Yes, an identity mapping exercise, drawing two circles, one for fan self, one for real self. And Neha's realization from that was so insightful. The fan self protects me. The real self searches for me. That part which wants to build its own world but is afraid.
So how does psychodynamics explain this split?
This reflects that identity diffusion we mentioned earlier, where a coherent, solid self-concept fails to fully develop. Think of it like trying to build something without a strong foundation. Her core sense of self hadn't fully solidified, so she instinctively poured her energy into this external, seemingly perfect form, BTS, to give herself shape and structure. The fan self was essentially a defensive identity built to survive loneliness and insecurity.
While the real self?
The real self represented her emerging ego strength, that part of her ready for autonomy, ready to stand on its own. But this transformation, moving from the fan self towards the real self, involves deep grief.
Grief.
Grief for the loss of that protective identity. It's like the mourning of a lost identity, letting go of the fantasy that had kept her feeling safe, even if it was limiting her.
It's a really critical point, grieving a part of yourself you need to let go of. So for you listening, is there an identity you hold that's heavily reliant on an external ideal?
Can you maybe describe the differences between your fan self, whatever form that takes for you, and your real self?
And what fears might that fan self be protecting you from?
It's deep work. Then comes this really remarkable shift in the segment, releasing bonds, emerging soul.
Yeah, this part is amazing. Neha describes watching a new V Live of BTS, and for the first time, feeling nothing intense.
It's calm.
Yeah. She saw BTS as just human beings, normal artists, not deities. And she felt a sense of peace, not fear.
That's huge.
And she recognized, perhaps I no longer see them as someone who made me lose myself. Now, by seeing them, I am finding myself. They are no longer my mirror, but my inspiration.
That shift from mirror to inspiration, that's key.
It is. And this is about separating without hatred. She felt gratitude, not anger or resentment. They helped me fill that emptiness when no one else was there. They gave me a glimpse of the love I can give myself, of the courage that was hidden inside me.
That's such a mature acceptance.
Yeah.
And this transformation profoundly was accompanied by grief. The book emphasizes this, the mourning of the fantasy that no longer existed. But this time, she wasn't alone. She had the therapist's support.
And the purpose of this grief wasn't to just ditch BTS.
No, not at all. It was to integrate the ideal I created within them into herself, to take that strength, that love, that acceptance she saw externally and realize it was inside her all along.
So the power she saw out there is now experienced internally.
Exactly. This is the integration phase. Internalizing the idealized object, moving away from seeking external perfection and towards embracing internal authenticity. It's described as liberation through loss, a kind of psychological rebirth, where emotional energy gets redirected towards real self-development.
Okay, think about that for a second. Can you think of an ideal in your own life that maybe you've managed to integrate into yourself with gratitude rather than just abandon it with resentment?
What inspiration from that ideal can you now truly claim as your own, as an internal strength, not something you need from outside?
That's a beautiful concept.
It really is. And in the next segment, BTS is still with me, but inside, we see the final profound shift solidifying.
Right. Neha still listens to BTS, but now maybe she reaches for her meditation app first thing in the morning instead of social media.
A subtle but significant change.
Yeah. BTS is no longer the absolute center, but as she puts it, an echo within me, a beautiful melody that is blended with my very being.
It's part of her but doesn't define her.
Exactly. The song Epiphany, she says, now plays with my own voice. Its lyrics have become her own experience.
That's powerful.
And she starts to see herself as her own first true heroine, the protagonist of her own story, with her flaws and strengths. She's finding her unique rhythm.
Psychodynamically, this signifies the final transformation. It's the complete integration of the ideal object, the achievement of ego autonomy, and the rebirth of her authentic identity.
It's like symbolic reparenting.
Exactly. It's a form of symbolic reparenting where Neha has successfully internalized the love, the support, the validation she once desperately sought externally. She's now an independent individual, stepping into the world with her own desires, values, and voice.
And when the therapist asks her if she would sing her own tune,
her reply is just brilliant. She says confidently, "Yes, and this time, my voice will be my own. I will sing my own tune, whether anyone else likes it or not. This is my voice, and it is enough."
Goosebumps. What a remarkable transformation. It really makes you rethink what finding your voice truly means.
Absolutely.
So, for you listening, has an ideal you once worshipped now become a different part of you? Are you feeling ready to find your own voice, write your own story?
It's a lifelong process, isn't it? Finally, in the closing segment, From Fan to Free, Neha's journey really culminates.
Yeah, she makes this powerful declaration. Once, BTS was my world. Now I am the creator of my own world where BTS is a part, but not the center.
The balance has shifted.
Completely. The song Love Myself, it's no longer just a campaign slogan for her. It's my living process, the foundation of every decision I make.
Wow.
And she now feels confident enough to ask others these probing questions. Who are you beyond that ideal, beyond that social media filter?
Have you found your voice, or are you still living to someone else's beat?
And crucially, do you love yourself in the same way you love an ideal?
Really makes you think. True liberation, then, as the book defines it, isn't about denying or hating what we loved. It's about transforming it.
Right. It means no longer being bound by the need for external validation.
It means internalizing that love, that strength, and opening the path for one's own development.
In her final therapy session described, Neha's eyes are shining. She says, Now, when BTS smiles, it feels like I can smile too. And now that smile isn't just because of them, it's my own.
This is my inner joy, which doesn't depend on anything external. I am free.
It's wonderful.
Psychodynamically, this final stage symbolizes ego consolidation. The ego is strong and whole and object constancy. That means she can hold on to the positive feelings and connection internally, even without constant external reinforcement.
She's free from the hunger for external validation.
Exactly. Living with internal coherence and creative agency. No longer just a follower, but a creator and narrator of her own unique story.
So the final question for you listening. What does your liberation look like? What will you create in your life with that newfound freedom?
It's a big question.
It is. Now, beyond Neha's powerful story, Dr. Srivastava's book offers some fantastic practical tools for self-discovery.
Yeah, these are really helpful. First, it delves into the psychoanalysis of specific BTS songs, showing how they can become these inner echoes of our own psychological journey.
Like Epiphany by Jen.
Right, symbolizing self-acceptance. That turning inward, reflecting the need for inner validation Neha found. Or Fake Love, addressing that false self that can come from self-hatred where Neha felt she was losing her authenticity.
And Spring Day.
Spring Day speaks so powerfully to mourning and hope for a new self, connecting to that idea of object constancy, maintaining love even when the person or thing isn't present.
Magic Shop.
Magic Shop represents that safe internal place for healing. It symbolized the therapy space for Neha and ultimately her own mind as she learned to self-soothe. These aren't just songs, they become these deep metaphors for the human experience.
That's fascinating. The book also provides practical self-reflection tools people can actually use.
Yes, like the fan behavior reflection checklist. It's a 10-question checklist for you to self-assess your own fandom behavior if that's relevant to you.
What does it cover?
Things like hours spent, withdrawal symptoms if you can't engage, negative impacts on studies, sleep, social life, overspending, constant thoughts about the subject, getting into fan wars, feeling like only you understand them, arguments with family, and using it as a primary coping mechanism.
And it helps you gauge where you're at.
Exactly. Based on your answers, you can see if it looks like healthy attachment, potential risk, or maybe even significant obsession where seeking professional help might be a good idea.
Okay, what else?
Then there's the object relation mapping worksheet. This is a cool visual exercise. You map significant objects in your life, people, groups, hobbies, ideals around a central me circle.
How does that work?
You use circle size for importance, line thickness or type for the intensity or quality of the relationship, arrows for the flow of emotions. You even note qualities you project onto them and what emotions they provide, or maybe failed to provide.
So it helps you see your relationship landscape.
Precisely. Its purpose is to help you reflect on potentially unmet emotional needs and see clearly where there might be imbalances or overcompensations in your relational world.
That sounds really useful. And there was one more.
Yes, the From Idol to Soul visual metaphor worksheet. Here you divide a page into my idol self, representing that identity immersed in an idol, often drawn as blurry or less defined, and my soul self, your unique, clear, rooted identity.
Connected by
the bridge. You draw symbols and write words for each self, and on the bridge, you list the steps you might need to take for that transition, that integration. Its goal is to help visualize that identity split and the path towards wholeness.
These tools sound incredibly insightful. And while Neha's story is focused on BTS,
Right, the insights in these tools are really universally applicable. Anyone experiencing intense connections, whether it's with pop culture, celebrities, political figures, even abstract ideas or online communities.
it applies across the board.
Absolutely. It makes the book a potentially valuable guide for young fans, yes, but also for psychologists, parents, educators, students, anyone interested in the depths of human connection and self-discovery today.
So to wrap up this deep dive, the key takeaway seems to be that true liberation isn't really about abandoning what we once loved or needed.
Not at all. It's about understanding the psychological void it might have filled, and then transforming that external inspiration into a powerful, authentic internal strength.
What's so fascinating is that the magic, the qualities we often seek externally, the validation, the strength, the acceptance, so often actually resides within us, just waiting to be discovered and cultivated.
That's the core message, I think.
So our final thought for you to mull over. What ideal qualities or feelings are you perhaps still seeking primarily outside of yourself that you might begin gently to cultivate from within?
We really hope this deep dive encourages you to reflect on your own journey of self-discovery, to maybe explore the interplay between your own fan self, whatever that looks like for you, and your real self.
And to courageously claim your own unique voice as the narrator of your life story.